good with y'all, man? So today I'll be showing you guys how to make the most out of your zone KOs. Not man KOs, zone KOs, because that's what I run. I run zone defense. Basically, deep out zone, mid zone KO, flat zone KO. I'm not going to be talking about, what is it called? Deep in zone KO, just because that ability is iffy. Like, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So I'm just going to be going over those 3 KOs. Basically, for cover 4 coverages, Tampa 2 coverages, show cover 3 I probably won't, but mostly just Tampa 2 and cover 4. So we are here in the MUT practice. What we're gonna do is, first thing before we even go over the abilities and stuff like that, you always want to baseline your defense. At least this year, just because the way the game's played, it's gonna help you get the most out of your KOs, trust me. So we'll go over cover 4 quarters first. We'll go over that coverage because that'll, I feel like, give us a very good way to show off mid-zone KO. So we'll just have the AI come out, I guess, in double post, right? So we're going to talk about mid-zone KO. So basically, I guess I'll go over my abilities first. Both of my safeties, Troy Vincent and Jalen Mills, they have mid-zone KO and they have deep out zone KO. Mid-zone KO for when I run cover 4 quarters. Deep out zone KO for when I run Tampa 2, even though actually deep out zone KO can still light up in cover 4 quarters. We'll explain that, and both of my outside corners just have deep out zone KO, but you could also put flat zone KO if you wanted to on them. So now let's go over how to make, where do these abilities activate. Basically what we need to find out is we need to know where on the field can we get these abilities to light up, right? So we're going to start off with mid zone KO, right? I got on both my safeties. Like I said, I usually bring my safeties down like this, because if they try to throw like quick seam streaks or just very quick passes over the middle, the mid-zone KOs on my safeties are going to break them up. So Troy Vincent, right? First of all, mid-zone KO, I would say the offense is about at about the 30, right? Mid-zone KO is going to light up to, I would say, about right here max, where I'm at with Troy Vincent. That's the max distance you could probably get it to light up, and it's going to start from anywhere from about right here on this left side of the field to about right here on the right side of the field. That's probably the max width you're going to get on the KO. And like I said, the depth, about where that 15-yard line is, max. That's the max distance. So as long as your players are anywhere like over there on the field, they're going to light up and make their play. So in deep out zone KO, really, because another thing is, okay, right, it doesn't matter what zone they're on. So for example, see how we have Jordan Hicks on, I just put him on a curl flat, right? Oh no, I didn't. I just put him on a curl flat, right? Let's say, for example, I had mid-zone KO on him. Obviously, with the curl flat, he's going to run all the way to the outside. But let's say, for example, 17, Carmichael on the left side, comes over on a little drag route. And instead of going all the way to the left, he kind of stops right here in this middle part. Like I said, I got mid-zone KO on him. Mid-zone KO would light up if he tried to break that pass up on Carmichael, right where Hicks is at in the middle of the field. It's not about what zone they're on, it's about what abilities they're on. Now, if you put them in man covers, though, it eliminates all the zone KO aspect. So if you have them in some type of zone, though, it just matters where they're at on the field. The goal is basically to get your KOs to their spot of the field, to get them to light up to break up passes, right? Now, like I said, for my safeties, I have deep out zone KO and mid zone KO. The reason why I also have that deep out zone is for the Tampa 2, but it works even in quarters, right? So, for example, let's say I bring both the safeties down, and let's say I put them on an outside zone, right? Instead of having them on a quarter, right? As they're running back like this, they're gonna, flood to that outside, and they're gonna be able to, obviously, once they get downfield, not, while they're in the middle, but once they get downfield, they'll be able to, let's say Chris Carter's on a streak, right? He's gonna ride down with Chris Carter. As he'll get downfield, he'll break it up with deep out zone KO. And the thing that's also crazy is when you bring the safeties down, even though they're not on the quarter anymore, they're on the outside zone. If they still try to throw that quick pass, mid-zone KO is going to light up. So that's what I'm saying. It doesn't matter about the zone. It just matters where they're at on the field. But when it comes to your outside throws, though, trying to get them for deep out zone, I mean, you pretty much kind of have an idea that just, put them on a deep blue. That's the best way. Or, I put guys on a 25-yard, a 30-yard cloud flat before, and deep out zone KO has literally lit up. So that kind of lets me know, I guess, if they're at least like a 25-yard depth, deep out zone KO is going to work. Said it at the beginning when we went into MUT practice, you want to make sure you baseline your defense. And basically, this is why. As you can see, right, look how everyone is kind of lined up right now. You notice how they're not. Let's have them come out in tight. We're going to have the AI come out in tight real quick because I want to show you. So we're going to come out cover 4 quarters, right? Let's have them come out in tight slots. You know what? That's close enough, right? Look how our defense is lined up right now. When you're not base aligned, everyone's gonna line up right on top of them. But the thing when it is with tight, they're gonna try to do a lot of deep things to the outside, deep things in the middle. When you have the defense set up like this, right, these outside zones, right, for your corners, when they run those deep corner routes, since they're base aligned like this, the corner route's gonna run right into your corner on that on these deep zones or outside thirds, whatever you have out there. So basically, it's gonna be easier for your DB to break on the ball, and if he has deep out zone KO, for him to just tap him and break it up. It's just gonna be a lot easier for your KO. So when you're running cover 4 quarters, the best way is to bring your safeties down and just, you know, then make your adjustments accordingly like that. But that's kind of the best way to run that. Now we're gonna talk a little bit more about that Tampa 2 type defense for you guys that maybe run a flat zone KO on your corners. I guess we'll just have the AI come out and tight again, doesn't really matter. Basically, because like we said, deep out zone KOs lighten up at about 25 yards. So once they get to about 25 yards, flat zone KO is no longer going to work. Now, I don't use flat zone KO on my corners, which I probably could get the AP to do it if I want to, because I do run a decent amount of Tampa 2, but when I do it, I usually have my cloud flat set a little bit farther back. Basically, I would say 20 yards to 0 yards. That's what is going to get flat zone KO to light up, right, for your cornerbacks. So anything over that, that's going to be basically deep out zone KO. But obviously, to get flat zone KO to work, it's going to have to be on guys towards the outside. So usually if you're putting flat zone KO out there, you're going to want to make sure you have it on guys that are on cloud flats, or if you're putting it on like a slot corner or a linebacker, it needs to be somebody that's on a curl flat that's running straight to the sideline, and it's not that far deep either, because it has to be literally like right towards like where the numbers are at. And it has to be like on the outside of the numbers basically to get it to light up. Now it's a good ability, but I would really only run it for guys that are hardcore running Tampa 2. And obviously on your safeties, you're going to have deep out zone KO, because usually when you're running a Tampa 2, you're trying to bait the defense and get them to try to throw things. And when you have these deep out zone KOs over the top of those cloud flats, let's say they're trying to throw streaks or like that, streaks and things like that, basically they'll be able to just, you know, pretty much break them up. So basically, to get your flat zone KOs to light up, where's the ball right now? The 30-yard line. I would say your corner needs to start at either the 30-yard line and get probably back to about the 20-yard line, and maybe like 5 yards over that in order to get flat zone KO to work. Like I said, it can't really be over 20 yards, because once you get over 20 yards, that's when deep out zone KO gets ready to activate. So basically anything under 20 yards is good for flat zone KO. Mid zone KO is about 15 to 20 yards in the middle of the field where we talked about, and the deep out zone pretty much takes over after that. Then that's the same for the safeties and the corners for deep out zone. So yeah, the video was basically just to kind of talk about what yard depth it is to kind of get KOs to light up, where they need to be at on the field to light up. Now we really only talked about flat zone, mid zone, and deep out zone, because those are pretty much the main ones. Anything after that, I mean, like I said, deep in zone KO is just really not good. You just never know if it's going to work. I would not recommend using it. Now man coverage KOs is a whole different ball game. I can't really speak on them because I don't really use them a lot. I do actually use one. I do actually run deep route KO on my slot corner, Eric Allen, just because I do a lot of, you know, crazy things. If you want to see actually one little crazy adjustments you could do with deep route KO, if you guys like to run Tampa 2 defense, that's really nasty. I can show you something very quickly. Let's have them. Let's have them come out and empty base real quick, right? We could show a little something crazy. So let's say, now this is for if you put deep route KO on both of your safeties. Okay, what you could do is, let's say you got your cloud flats at, like, you know, they're in gun empties. They're trying to run a 4 verticals type thing, right? Let's say you got like 5-yard, 10-yard flats. To have them play the flats, man your safeties up on the outside guy, right? Now, like I said, put deep route KO on both of your safeties, right? Because a lot of times, I actually make this adjustment a lot, but the problem is I don't have deep route KO on my safety, so that they're, you know, a lot of times if they try to throw it fast to the outside guy because they think, okay, he just flew right past the cloud flat, it's an easy touchdown. DB breaks on it, might pick it off, or some crazy things might happen. But let's say they notice it and they wait. Eventually, that receiver might run past that DB deep or your safety deep. But if you have deep route KO on him, he's breaking that thing up every time. So that's probably something I should like look into. Like when I run that, is trying to get deep route KO on my safeties. I just don't know how to do it. And this is actually how the adjustments will look if you set this defense up. Pretty much both the safeties get manned up on the outside guy. Slot guy gets manned up. Linebacker manned up on the tight end. Your responsibility is 41. Yeah, I just do that little adjustment in there because why not? If you guys have any questions about, you know, zone KOs, don't ask me about man KOs. I don't really run man KOs except for deep route KO. But if you guys got any questions about flat zone KO, mid zone KO, deep out zone KO, even deep in zone KO, you guys can let me know down in the comments. We pretty much covered everything. The depth of the yards of how far each KO goes. And we also went over where the player needs to be pretty much at. Cloud flats need to be on the outside of the numbers. Deep out zone KO needs to be on the outside numbers. Can get a little bit in between the numbers, but barely. Mid zone KO has to be in between the numbers. So, and we also, like I said, we talked about the yards depth, where they need to be at. So if there's any questions you guys got, let me know down in the comments. I think we covered pretty much everything now. So there really shouldn't be any too much questions, unless you have some confusion, because I know sometimes it's hard for me to articulate the way to say things. Like, I know a lot of stuff about this game. I just don't know how to articulate it into words because I'm not the brightest. But that is pretty much going to do it, though, boys. Like, comment, subscribe, man. And your boy is out.